Feedback. You've got to be able to take it in your business. I'm Dr. Maisha, and I'm the founder of the Stress-Free MD and the Next Level Physician Entrepreneurs Institute. So the other day, as many of you know, I had what's called a brand day with my brand coach, Nick Nelson, shout out of the Brandpreneur. Well, during this day, I got a lot of feedback. Some of it I liked, some of it I didn't like so much. But here's what I know is important about getting feedback. When you get feedback, three things happen. Number one, you're positioned to grow and expand your business. If you never get feedback, how will you know when something is working or not working? So I knew, even though some of the feedback that I heard made my stomach rumble, to be quite honest with you, I knew that this was the feedback that I needed to take it to the next level. Now, the second thing that feedback does is it gives you a different viewpoint or a different perspective. We all know that when we create our stuff, we think our stuff is great. We think our stuff is grand. We think that everybody can understand us. But what happens is if we never get feedback, whether it's constructive feedback or critical feedback, we never really know what everybody else is hearing out there. We never really know what everybody else is thinking out there. So it's important to get the feedback from others so that we know that, number one, we are able to grow. Number two, we're actually being heard in the way that we need to be heard. So it gives a different perspective. And then the third reason why I think feedback is so important is because it actually lets you know that the message that you're trying to get out there is actually getting out there. All right. Now, again, we think what goes on in our head, what's coming out of our mouth, it makes sense to us, but does it make sense to everyone else? You don't even know until you get that feedback. So it's important to welcome feedback. Sometimes, it makes us feel a little icky. Sometimes it makes us feel even a little insecure. And I talked about in a previous video, imposter syndrome. And sometimes when we get feedback from people, it can even trigger that internal, am I good enough, or am I smart enough, or if do I, like that whole imposter syndrome thing. But here's the thing, feedback is just that. It is a perspective of someone else that can actually help you grow. So, you want to take it for that. A lot of times we add so much meaning to the feedback, meaning about what it means about us, or what people think about us, or whether people like us or not like us. But in fact, a lot of times the best feedback, the most constructive feedback is just that. It's positioned to help us grow and expand your brand and your business. So that's why I think it's super important to always not only accept feedback, welcome feedback, but ask for feedback. Constantly be asking for feedback from coaches, from your colleagues, from your clients or your patients, to make sure that the message that you're trying to get out there is actually landing with the people that you want to serve. Okay, so that I just wanted to share a little bit about feedback because, feedback's going to always be coming your way. And sometimes it's constructive feedback, and sometimes, guess what? It's hecklers. And you got to be able to distinguish between the two. And you have to remember not to make it mean anything about yourself. You have been trained that, especially as physicians, as high-performing professionals, as medical professionals, we've been trained that all feedback is negative. We've been given a lot of negative feedback in our profession. And so it really does give us that sense of when someone says, oh, guess what? We have to talk, or I need to give you some feedback, that it's always going to be bad. Remember, feedback can be very, very helpful. It can be great. And you're not always going to get negative feedback. You're going to get positive feedback. A lot of times people will say, I like this, and what I can see possible is, or what would make it even better is. And sometimes when people say that, all we hear is the deficiency. All we hear is what could make it better. And then that goes into our minds as not good enough. But you got to hear the whole compliment. You have to hear the whole bit of feedback. And since I'm talking about feedback, there's also a right way to give feedback, which is honey, lemon, honey. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's say what you like first, then insert what could be improved, and then you say again what's good. So a lot of times that's how you'll receive feedback. And even if it's not that way, you want to just remember feedback can make us grow, it can help us grow, and it always brings a lesson in some way, form, or fashion, whether it's directly related to your business or your career or your practice, or whether it's just a lesson of not allowing people to trigger you with their words. Okay? So that's what I wanted to share about feedback today. I hope you found it helpful. You all know, if you want to follow me on any platform, you can go to, for Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, it's /Dr. Maisha. And if you want to find out more about me, go to drmaisha.com. All right, that's DRMAIYSHA.com. Looking forward to seeing you on the next video.